right, let's talk about Eastern Europe. First off, a lot of people argue about what even is Eastern Europe. Should we go by the Warsaw Pact line? Should we go by the former USSR line? If you ask like the Poles or the Baltic people, they're like, hell no, we are not Eastern Europe. So I'm just gonna go by the countries that have always been like indisputably Eastern Europe. Disclaimer, no, I'm not gonna spend all my time getting into all that current conflict stuff. I already made videos explaining it on my YouTube channel if you want to check them out. But if I have to quickly summarize, this is Crimea. It's been under Russian control since 2014. And these are the areas of what are internationally recognized as de facto under Ukraine, but are under Russian occupation right now. We'll see what happens in the future. Anywhere! All the countries shown were once part of the USSR, and all of them except for Ukraine, for obvious reasons, are part of CIS, which is the IGO basically made up of former USSR states. These three are Slavic, whereas Moldova is Latin, and all of them have cultures deeply rooted in Eastern Orthodoxy. First off, Belarus. There's probably no country closer to Russia than Belarus. In fact, their name even means white Russia, and today more people actually speak Russian than their own native Belarusian language, which is actually more intelligible to Ukrainian. Their president, Lukashenko, has been in power since 1994. He's always had that mustache, and he's like best friends with Putin. Like, they've played hockey together. Otherwise, they're famous for their Belarusian potato pancakes, which look so good, and they love the European bison, which is their national animal. It's like the mascot of everything here. Next up, Ukraine. Okay, let's just jump into it. So, Eastern Slavs get their roots from Kievan Rus, which was the first Eastern Slavic state, and much of it was centered around Kiev, which is the capital of Ukraine today. Ukrainians will tell you that they are descended from Cossacks, which are basically semi-nomadic warrior societies. I don't want to call them mercenaries, but they were often like hired as people to help defend or expand Russian territory under imperial years. But they always had a strong sense of self-rule. They even had their own state called a hetmanate, ruled by a hetman or like a military leader guy. And although they made treaties and they allied with the Russians, they weren't fully integrated into imperialist Russia until Catherine the Great. Also, they invented borscht and the virshki and troika dance. You guys know that. It's like the squatting, kicking thing. Yeah, that's actually Ukrainian. Next up, Russia, the most populous Slavic country on Earth and the largest in area, so big that it has more surface area than the entire planet of Pluto. It is a transcontinental country. People generally accept that the Urals and the Caucasus Mountains are considered the boundaries of what are European Russia. The country is made up of 85 federal subjects, some of which are republics that are home to distinct ethnic groups that are allowed to speak and teach their own languages, like the Yakut, Siberians, and the Tatars in Tatarstan. Geographically, they have everything from tundras to taigas, tallest mountain in Europe, volcanic Pacific coast, and the largest natural gas reserve in the entire world. Basically, throughout all iterations of their sovereignty, whether it be the imperial years or the Bolsheviks or the post-USSR, they've always been like that big guy out east that the rest of Europe has always been like, let's keep an eye on them. Next up, Moldova. Moldova is basically Romania's little sister that ran away and got absorbed into the Russian lifestyle. They basically speak the same language, it's just that Moldova has more Russian borrowed words. Moldova is famous for their wine. Like, they love it here. It's even more available than like water. It's everywhere. It's like gas stations. Even the hospitals probably have wine. Moldova also has the breakaway region of Transnistria, which has its own government and currency. And they also have the autonomous Gagauz unit, which is inhabited by the Turkic Gagauz people. And yes, I got tipsy off of wine with my buddy Gus, and we somehow ended up there. So there you go, Eastern Europe, yay.